Hello everybody, this is Dr. Christopher White, and in this video we will be looking at a lab called Google Earth Investigations of Folded and Faulted Landforms. Alright, so before we get started on the lab, we need to have access to Google Earth. Now we can do this in a couple of ways. We can either download the program on if you have a PC, or you can download the app for iPhone or Android devices. If you don't want to download the program onto your PC, you can simply access Google Earth via the internet. Or if you want to keep it even more simple, you can simply go to Google, load in the locations that we'll be looking at today. So this is Graybill, Wyoming. And obviously then you can simply go to Google Maps. Not quite as good as Google Earth, but it'll do the job. And obviously then you hit the satellite skin. And there you go. Alright, so we have several options. Now, obviously I'm actually going to open up the Google Earth Pro on my computer. Of course, it's actually loading up on my other screen. So here we go, here's Google Earth Pro. And we want to go, to begin with, to Graybill, there it is, Graybill, Wyoming. And search. And off we go. So what's this lab all about? Well, let's go back to the lab for a second. So the lab is quite straightforward. It's all about using Google Earth, going to locations and answering a few very simple questions about what you see. So it's a very low impact, very low stress lab. So, okay, let's look at part A. So, for instance, fly to Graybill, Wyoming and explore Sheep Mountain just to the north. So let's see if we can find ourselves Sheep Mountain. Alright, so Sheep Mountain, where are you? Alright, this looks like Sheep Mountain right here. Let's see if we can just double check this. Aha, good. Sheep Mountain, we found it. Okay, so this is Sheep Mountain. Now, you guys might spot, that there's a very obvious shape to this. You can see quite clearly the feature comes up here and then it returns down here. Okay, I'm sure if we actually zoomed in, we may even be able to see, oh, this is perfect. So if we now, sorry, just let me be careful about what I say here. Yeah, so if we look, we can see we have this green layer, there it is there. We have this obvious white layer, here it is here. Okay, and then we come into this grey rusty layer which is coming around here. Now all this grey stuff here, that's actually talus. Okay, so that's actually covering over the red layer. So you can see we have the same layers repeating themselves on either side of this feature. So by now, I'm sure you realise that may be an indicator of a certain geologic structure. Okay, so here's Big Sheep. So anyway, what have we got to do next? So what type of fold is this? Right then, well, let's work it out. So if we zoom in, you can quite clearly see the feature. Now obviously what we would like to do is we would like to have some idea about the dip, wouldn't we? So the dip and dip direction is going to help us out. So let's have a good look around. Okay, excellent. So on this side we can quite clearly see the beds there, can't we? Okay, so we can see the beds are dipping and they're dipping down into the earth over here. So at the top of my image here is north. So we can see that these beds here are dipping down to the earth and they're going towards, what would you say, the northeast? Looks pretty northeast to me. Okay, so these beds here are dipping northeast. So these are on this side, well these are on the what I would call the northern side of the features. There they are right there. Okay, and these beds are dipping to the northeast, so that way. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to try and find the beds on this side. Okay, now can we find ourselves a nice clear image? Well, yes we can. Okay, so not as good as the other side, I must be honest, but I'm sorry I keep moving the picture around. I'm just trying to really try and find you the best possible set that I can. And they're right here. Okay, so here we have a bed. You can see it quite clearly. Stands out quite well there. And you can see in this case, this particular bed is dipping down very steeply. Must have a dip of somewhere in the region of about 60-70 degrees. And in this case, you can see the layer is dipping like this. So it's dipping downwards in this direction into the ground here. So this one's dipping down towards the southwest. So on the southern side of the feature, we have beds dipping to the southwest. And on the northern side of the feature, we have beds dipping to the northeast. So this feature is going to be a, well, you can tell me the feature. You can work it out for yourselves. So, this should actually say number 2. There's a numbering issue there. I will correct that right now. To number 2. Take a look at the Bighorn River that cuts through the middle of Sheep Mountain. By looking at the landscape, determine which came first, the fold or the river. How can you tell? Support your answer. All right. So, there is the river. Okay. So, which one came first? Well, let's have a look. So, I'm going to try and just rotate this ever so slightly. There we go. So we can see the dipping beds here. Now, to be honest, I think you can probably, crack this one yourself. It's quite obvious, to be brutally honest. So you should be able to get this with relatively little difficulty. So all I can say is, when you're discussing this, remember the principle of cross-cutting relationships. And then question 3. Zoom out and examine the surrounding area. What type of rock, igneous, sedimentary or metamorphic, is creating most of the landscape here? How can you tell? Well, let's have a look. So let's get myself centered so I have north at the top of the screen again. And let's zoom out. Well, as you can see, to begin with, lots of variation in colour in this area, isn't there? But let's just zoom back in. So there's Big Sheep again. And as we zoom in, what we'll notice is we have numerous layers, don't we? So let's have a look at this area here. You can see all of these individual layers. Now, metamorphic rocks don't have this. Metamorphic rocks tend to be quite massive, we refer to it. They tend to be quite chunky, bulky layers. So these fine layers, that's not really metamorphic. Igneous, well, yeah, you can get igneous rocks that form layers. They're mostly produced by volcanic lava flows, sorry. However, well, those rocks tend to be quite dark in colour. So think of basalts, think of andesites. They tend to be kind of like grey or medium grey colour. And what we have here is a real riot of colours. So probably not igneous, probably not metamorphic. That kind of leaves you just with one option, really, doesn't it? So, work it out from there. That's pretty much all this lab is. You're just going to go jump from location to location. It's going to tell you the locations to go to. You're going to quickly Google search for them, or go to Google Earth and use Google Earth to find them. And you're going to answer some relatively simple questions that are just going to get you thinking just a little bit about, what geologists look for when they're in the field. It's a super simple lab. It should probably take you about 20 minutes, give or take a little bit. So, it's relatively low impact, and most people tend to enjoy it just because, it's a nice, relaxing job. And plus, people tend to like looking around on Google Earth. It's fun. You can find some really cool stuff. All right, everybody. So that's it. Very short video. I can trust you to do this pretty much completely by yourself. So, I'm not concerned at all. All right. So have a good day, and bye.